The wind howled like a hungry wolf, lashing the makeshift hut with brushwood. The relentless rain hammered the fabric, threatening to tear it apart at any moment. Inside, the weak light of an oil lamp cast dancing shadows on the walls, transforming the small space into a nightmare theater. I, Elias Thorne, an amateur archaeologist obsessed with dark legends, felt a shiver down my spine, despite being soaked and exhausted. We were deep within the Amazon rainforest, on an expedition funded by the eccentric billionaire, Sir Reginald Hawthorne, obsessed with the Mayan prophecy of the end of humanity. He fervently believed the answer to the fateful date lay hidden in some unexplored region, a secret guarded for centuries and sealed by ancient rituals. The team, composed of myself, the steadfast and experienced indigenous guide, Kai, and a group of hired mercenaries for protection, were exhausted after weeks of fruitless searching. The dense and impenetrable forest seemed to challenge us with its natural traps, wild animals, and now, the fury of the elements. Despite my skepticism towards the prophecies, there was something unsettling in the atmosphere. The jungle, usually vibrant with life, seemed strangely silent. The birds had stopped singing, the monkeys ceased their cries. Even the insects seemed to have retreated to safety, far from the storm. Kai broke the silence, his voice hoarse and barely audible above the roar of the wind. "Elias, something is wrong. The forest is on alert." I agreed, feeling the tension in every muscle. With dark, piercing eyes, Kai possessed a profound connection with nature, an intuition that often proved more valuable than any map or compass. At that moment, a stronger gust of wind tore through the hut, exposing us to the fury of the storm. Before we could react, an object flashed in the sky, slicing through the darkness like a lightning bolt. It wasn't lightning, I immediately realized. It was artificial. The light emitted by the object was intense, almost blinding, radiating a strange and palpable energy. It lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to leave an image in my mind, a giant sphere hovering over the jungle, with intricate and unknown symbols on its surface. The sphere vanished as abruptly as it appeared, but the effect was immediate. The storm that had previously roared ceased abruptly. However, the jungle did not find peace again. Instead, the silence intensified, becoming almost suffocating. "What was that?" I asked, my voice breathless. Kai, his face unmoved, pointed in the direction from where the sphere had come. "Time is running out, Elias. The end has been announced." That moment marked the beginning of a journey that would change my life and, perhaps, the fate of humanity forever. From that instant, the search for truth became a race against time, a desperate struggle to unravel the enigma hidden within the depths of the forest and, who knows, to prevent total collapse. Still unsure of what awaited us, we gathered the rest of our equipment and ventured deeper into the forest, driven by a mixture of curiosity and fear, towards the place where the end of humanity had been announced. The darkness swallowed us, and the only certainty was that we were about to discover something we probably should never have encountered. The forest seemed to breathe, each tree a silent giant observing us with its branched limbs. The air was heavy, filled with a strange metallic smell that reminded me of something forgotten. With each step, the feeling of being watched intensified, as if the forest itself was aware of our presence and assessing us. Kai, with his innate tracking ability, led the way. He moved with the grace of a predator, gliding through the dense vegetation almost invisible to the eye. The mercenaries, weapons drawn, remained vigilant, but the tension was visible on their faces. They were not accustomed to the forest, with its secrets and dangers. After hours of exhausting walking, we reached a clearing. The area was circular, with unusually lush vegetation, as if nourished by an unknown energy source. In the center of the clearing, there was a structure carved into the rock, a pyramid of black basalt with perfect angles and enigmatic symbols on its surface. The pyramid radiated an aura of power and mystery. The symbols, similar to those I had seen on the sphere, were intricate and complex, perhaps representing an ancient language that told a story lost to time. "The prophecy," murmured Sir Reginald, his eyes gleaming. "Finally, we have reached the heart of the enigma." I ignored the billionaire's enthusiasm and focused on the structure. The pyramid seemed to vibrate with a subtle energy, a force that both attracted and repelled me. It was as if the stone itself was alive, pulsing with a rhythm that could only be felt with the heart. Kai silently assessed the surroundings, his expression grim. He approached the pyramid and touched its cool surface with his fingertips. "This is not of this world," he said, his voice hoarse. "It's extraterrestrial." Kai's statement shocked the group. The mercenaries became more alert. Sir Reginald seemed even more excited, and I had the growing feeling that we were involved in something far greater than we could imagine. We decided to camp near the pyramid to examine the structure more closely. Night fell quickly, and the darkness of the forest enveloped us in its shadows. The moon, hidden behind a thick layer of clouds, provided no light, and the stars seemed to have disappeared. While Kai and the mercenaries kept watch, Sir Reginald and I approached the pyramid. With the help of flashlights, we began to examine the symbols, trying to decipher them. "They must be codes, keys to the secret of the end of humanity," said Sir Reginald, his voice trembling. "Perhaps not," I replied, with a sinister premonition. "Perhaps they are a warning, a caution." As we studied the symbols, I began to notice patterns and repetitions. It was as if the pyramid was telling a story, a narrative about a cosmic event, an invasion, an extinction. Suddenly, an intense light emanated from the pyramid. The symbols began to glow, a pulsating light source illuminating the forest. I felt a wave of energy coursing through my body, a feeling of dizziness, as if I were falling into an endless abyss. The pyramid began to tremble. The earth trembled beneath our feet. Kai let out a cry of alarm, but it was too late. A fissure opened in the ground, swallowing the clearing and separating us from the rest of the group. Desperate, we fell into darkness, towards an unknown destiny, with the world on the brink of collapse. The end had finally arrived, and we were in the midst of it. The fall was brutal. Darkness engulfed us, and the impact on the ground was unavoidable. Sir Reginald was unconscious beside me. With difficulty, I rose and felt pain throughout my body. I took my flashlight and illuminated the walls of the tunnel. They were covered with the same symbols I had seen on the pyramid, now glowing faintly in the light. I approached Sir Reginald and checked his vital signs. He was alive, but unconscious. The need to escape was urgent. "Sir Reginald," I began, walking through the tunnel, following the only available route. The air was heavy, stuffy, and a foul smell filled the environment. With each step, the feeling of being watched intensified, as if something was following us in the darkness. After hours of exhausting walking, the tunnel opened into a giant chamber. The chamber was illuminated by a faint light emanating from floating spheres in space. In the center, there was a structure even larger than the pyramid, a colossal machine with complex gears and intricate mechanisms. On the floor, I found Kai bound and gagged. Mercenaries lay around him, apparently unconscious or dead. Upon seeing us, Kai tried to scream, but the bindings prevented him. I quickly released him, and he warned me with a desperate look, "Don't touch anything. It's a trap." Before I could ask what was happening, a metallic voice echoed through the chamber. The voice seemed to come from somewhere within the colossal machine. "Welcome, intruders," said the voice. "You have been selected to witness the end of your world and the beginning of a new one." The machine began to move, causing a great deal of noise. Gears turned, pistons moved, and beams of energy shot out in all directions. The chamber trembled violently, and the structure threatened to collapse. "It's a weapon," shouted Kai. "A weapon that destroys worlds." I realized the machine was in the process of activation. It was the source of the sphere we had seen in the sky and was now ready to be used. The metallic voice continued, "Humanity is a danger. You have destroyed the planet, exhausted its resources, and now you must pay for your sins." Sir Reginald awoke and watched the scene with wide eyes. "I knew it. I knew the prophecy was true," he exclaimed, his voice filled with emotion. "The prophecy or a premonition?" I responded, looking at the colossal machine. Kai, with a determined look, tried to approach the machine. "We need to stop it. We need to shut it down." But it was too late. A beam of focused energy was fired from the machine and struck the pyramid. The pyramid glowed intensely, and the chamber began to disintegrate. I knew there was no more time. The Earth was on the brink of collapse, and our only chance was to find a way to escape. "Kai, We need to get out of here. Now! I shouted. Together, we ran towards the tunnel, trying to escape the expanding chaos. But the ground began to give way, and the chamber began to disintegrate. Before we could reach the exit, a new beam of energy struck us, throwing us back. The world crumbled. Darkness, destruction, and the end. As everything collapsed, a thought. Humanity, with its insatiable curiosity and relentless pursuit of answers, had found its end. Not by a prophecy, but by its own greed. What would remain of us? The story ends here, with uncertainty. What happened to Elias, Kai, and Sir Reginald? Did they manage to escape? Or were they swallowed by the abyss? The fate of humanity was sealed at that moment. The end was announced, and the promise of a new beginning was extinguished by darkness.